I wasn't supposed to be here. The sky over Ohio had that bleak pewter tone. It gets in late winter, like the whole world had been dulled by grief. I pulled into the hospital parking lot and sat for a long moment with my fingers still wrapped tight around the steering wheel. In my passenger seat, a manila folder filled with paperwork. Insurance ID numbers, emergency contact forms. A list of medications I'd updated last month. Forms for the two people who once called me their daughter. The automatic doors opened with a mechanical hiss, letting in a gust of cold air and the antiseptic sting of disinfectant. At the reception desk, a nurse flipped through a clipboard and said, "Room 4. They're stable, but we need someone to sign for decisions." She didn't ask who I was. My name was on the records. That had always been the irony. I knocked once out of habit before stepping inside. The room was quiet except for the low hum of machines and the gentle beep of a heart monitor. My mother lay in the bed nearest the door, looking smaller than I remembered. She stirred at the sound of my steps and opened her eyes. It took her 3 seconds to place me, then her brow furrowed. "Rachel, what are you doing here?" She said it like I was a stranger who'd wandered in by mistake. I didn't answer right away. My eyes moved to the other bed. My father, unconscious pale, hooked to a line of IVs. His face had aged in ways I wasn't ready to see. I placed the folder on the small side table between their beds. My voice, when it came, was steady. "The hospital called. I'm still listed as your emergency contact." I watched her process that. No apology, no gratitude. Just confusion. Like it hadn't occurred to her, I would still be reachable. I took one step closer, then another, until I could see the line of stitches near her temple. Her voice was weak, but mine wasn't. "The last time I heard from either of you was 3 years ago, the day I got married." She looked away. I didn't stop. "You emailed me that morning, said you had a terrible migraine and couldn't get out of bed. You didn't call, you didn't ask how it went." No card, no explanation. I waited a beat, then added quieter. "This time, I've always wondered, how long did that headache last, because you never brought it up again?" She didn't respond, just closed her eyes like she could will me out of the room. So I moved back to the table, opened the folder, and pulled out the documents. Insurance coverage, billing details, treatment, authorizations. I signed where they needed signatures. Updated her prescription history and checked the consent form. "I'm not here to argue," I said. "I'm here because I'm still listed in your file." "That's all." Then I paused, looking back once before heading for the door. "Don't worry, I won't be staying long," and I left the manila folder neatly closed behind me. Outside the room, the hallway felt colder, but not because of the weather, because I knew I wasn't supposed to be here. Not in their eyes, not after the way they'd erased me. And yet when they needed someone, anyone, I was still the name they'd left behind. They chose someone else instead of me. A week before my wedding, I called my mother. I still remember how hopeful I sounded, like a kid inviting her parents to the school play. I was standing in the small bedroom I shared with Malik in our Columbus apartment, the dress hanging from the closet door behind me. I could barely contain my excitement. "Mom," I said, practically glowing through the phone. "The dress just came back from alterations. It's simple, but I think you'll really like it. Malik and I picked out a spot right near the rose trellis in Sarah's backyard. It's going to be small, but—" Silence on the other end. I kept going, fumbling to fill the space. "We made sure to save seats up front just for you and Dad. I know it's short notice, but it would mean the world if you were there." She paused, then answered with a voice so neutral it chilled me. "It's a busy time of year, Rachel. There's church planning and the Women's Fellowship has 2 big events coming up." "But you got the invitation right?" I asked, still pretending not to hear what she was really saying. "I mailed it a month ago." "Yes, I received it," she said. That was it. That was all she said. I hung up a few minutes later, her voice still stuck in my ear like a cold wind. "No, I'm happy for you. No, congratulations." Just a quiet closing door. Still, I held on to a thread of hope. The night before the wedding, I placed a small gift in a white box, a hand-carved wooden picture frame etched with the words, "Mom and Dad, thank you for walking me to this day." I'd planned to hand it to them after the ceremony. That box never left my apartment. It's still there. On the shelf in the corner, collecting dust. The wedding day was beautiful in its own quiet way. Malik looked at me like I was made of light, friends cried. There was dancing under string lights and a homemade cake that leaned a little too far to the left. But there were no parents in the front row. No one to say, "That's our daughter!" 2 weeks later, I posted a single photo to Facebook. Me and Malik laughing as we cut the cake. I didn't tag anyone. I didn't write a long caption. Just one word. Married, finally. That same evening, my mother called. It was the first time I'd heard her voice since the invitation. She didn't congratulate me, didn't ask how the day went. She just said, "You really thought that was a wedding?" Then I heard my father's voice in the background, dry and amused. "We expected better from you." I didn't say anything. I just listened, and in that moment it hit me. They hadn't simply skipped the ceremony. They had erased it. Erased me. I didn't seek revenge. I just disappeared. After that call, I didn't block their number. I didn't post cryptic quotes or burn bridges in dramatic fashion. I just stepped back. I stopped sending holiday cards, stopped checking if they'd finally liked one of my posts, stopped hoping, but I didn't sever everything. Their Medicare plans were still tied to the insurance group I managed through my job. A quiet favor I'd never explained to anyone, not even Malik. When the pharmacy called about a refill for my father's blood pressure meds, I handled it like any other case, efficient, distant. Malik noticed the tension one night when I was answering emails after dinner. He leaned against the kitchen counter, drying a mug. "You still managing their records?" I didn't look up. If I remove myself the copay resets, they'd lose access to the low-income subsidies. He set the mug down and walked over, resting his hands gently on my shoulders. "You don't owe them that." I finally met his eyes. I made a promise to my grandmother before she passed. She said no matter what happens, blood stays blood, even when it's thin. He didn't argue, he just nodded, kissed my forehead, and went to lock up for the night. Later in bed, I stared at the ceiling while the neighborhood dog barked somewhere down the block. What I felt wasn't exactly love. Not anymore. It was closer to duty, or memory, or something in between. Because even when your parents don't show up to your wedding, don't even call you daughter anymore, something in you still remembers how they once packed your lunch, or the way your mother hummed hymns while folding laundry on Sundays. You don't forget. You just live beside it. So I kept the lights on behind the scenes, paid quietly when gaps in coverage showed up on their medical statements, updated addresses when hospital systems tried to send bills to the wrong place, never signed my name, never asked for thanks. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't weakness. It was survival, layered with something softer. A year passed like that. Then 2. Every so often, Malik would glance at me when we got insurance mail with their names on it, his expression somewhere between concern and awe. "You're the only person I know," he said once, "who helps people who pretend you don't exist?" I smiled, but not because it felt good. "They can forget me all they want," I said, "but I remember me. I wasn't invited, but they couldn't stop me." The next time I saw them face to face was when the hospital called again. A car accident minor, they said, but both were admitted overnight for observation. I was still listed as their emergency contact. That detail hadn't changed. Not because they'd chosen to leave me there, but because I suspected they'd simply forgotten to remove me. I didn't rush. I drove the hour to the hospital after my shift ended parked and sat in the lot until the sun dipped low enough to shadow the entrance. This wasn't a visit. It was a notification. I stepped inside, filed the necessary paperwork at the nurses' station, and asked to update their files with current insurance information. Routine, mechanical. But I'd brought something else with me, not out of sentiment but for clarity. A sealed envelope. Inside was a copy of my marriage license, the one I'd kept tucked in the back of my desk drawer for 3 years, signed by the Justice of the Peace, dated and stamped, under witnesses. A blank space, under family, present. None recorded. I included a short administrative note. For record keeping, patient's emergency contact is legally married. Family not present at time of ceremony. I handed it to the desk clerk. She glanced at the label and nodded. "I'll add this to their profile," she said. "Anything else you'd like us to include?" I shook my head. "No, that's all they need." The nurse on duty walked me down the hallway to the room. My parents were both awake this time, sitting up and alert. The lighting was soft, like the kind they used to make bad news easier to absorb. My mother's face paled the moment she saw me. My father blinked once, uncertain if I was real or part of some post-accident haze. I didn't sit down. I didn't touch them. I looked directly at my mother, her hands clasped tightly over her lap. Insurance is handled. They'll release you tomorrow. My father cleared his throat. Rachel, we didn't expect. I know, I said. You didn't invite me. Silence. I'm not here to talk. I'm not here to fight. I'm just here to finish what's expected of me. I stepped back toward the door, pausing only once. But for what it's worth, I brought documentation, so that next time someone asks who showed up, the answer will be simple. My mother's jaw clenched. My father looked away, and I left. I didn't need to win, I just needed them to stop pretending. 2 weeks after I dropped off the updated records, the phone calls started. At first, it was the hospital billing office, then the social worker from the county. Finally, someone from the Medicare appeals line called my office. We've received notification that the primary care contact has been removed from both patient files. Are you able to verify this, Ms. Carter? Yes, I said. I'm no longer responsible. I could hear the hesitation in her voice. The patients seem surprised I'm not, I said, and hung up. That same evening, my phone buzzed again. Margaret Carter, mobile. I let it ring once, twice. Then I answered. I barely got the word, hello, out, before her voice tore through the speaker. You ungrateful little bitch. Are you trying to destroy us? Is that what this is? After everything we've done for you. Her voice was shrill, unfamiliar, and yet perfectly recognizable. We gave you a roof, food, clothes, a Christian upbringing, and this is how you repay us. In the background, I heard my father's voice, low, desperate. Rachel, please, think about what you're doing. You're pushing us over the edge. We're not young anymore. I took a breath, cold and steady. I thought about it for 3 years. Then I clicked end call. The next day, a letter came in the mail. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. My father's shaky, uneven. The kind of script that used to appear on birthday cards when I was little. I opened it slowly. Inside one page, creased down the middle, Rachel. I don't know if you'll read this, but I hope you will. Your mother is angry. Yes, but she's scared, so am I. You were always the steady one, the strong one. I know we weren't what you needed, and I know we should have been there for your wedding. That was wrong, I won't make excuses. But we are old now. We don't have much, the insurance changes, the tax reviews. It's too much. Please don't cut us off completely. Even if we never make it right, don't let us disappear like this. Dad, I folded the letter carefully and placed it in a drawer marked keep but not close. Then I opened my inbox and drafted an email. No salutation, no closing. Just one attachment, a voice recording. I'd saved years ago. One of many. The subject line read, "For your records, R.C." In the recording, my voice is calm, collected. I still remember the day I won first place in the art contest. I was 8. I ran all the way home with the ribbon in my hand and the drawing crinkled in my backpack. I wanted to show you both of you, but when I walked in, you were in the middle of a fight. Dad, you knocked the paper out of my hand. Mom, you told me to go to my room. That was the first time I learned what it meant to be invisible. The audio ends there. No outro, no signature. Just silence, and then I hit send. I wasn't waiting for an apology. I just needed them to remember I existed. I didn't check to see if they replied to the email. I didn't refresh the inbox or keep my phone by my side. I'd said everything I needed to say without saying it to their faces, and that silence was more honest than anything they'd ever given me. That night, I sat on the edge of the bed, my body heavy but still. Malik came in from the hallway, pausing in the doorway as he took one look at my face. He didn't ask what happened. He didn't offer words. He just crossed the room, sat beside me, and wrapped both arms around my shoulders. No advice. No questions. Just warmth. Just presence. And in that stillness, I let myself exhale. I didn't want them to say sorry. I said almost a whisper. I just wanted them to stop pretending like I was never there. Malik nodded, resting his chin lightly against my hair. Now they know, he said. The next morning, I opened the filing cabinet in the corner of my office, a slim drawer marked family, medical, legal inside were records I'd kept out of obligation, not connection. Emergency contact forms, prescription schedules, copies of hospital authorizations, old insurance statements with my signature on the bottom line. All of it. I took out the folder labeled Carter, Parents. I reviewed every page. I shredded what I could, transferred the rest to the hospital system with a simple note, no longer authorized, and then I locked the drawer. I didn't slam it, I didn't cry, I just closed it. A week later, Malik and I walked past the dusty frame on the hallway shelf, the one I'd once meant to give my parents on my wedding day. It had sat untouched for years, Mom and Dad. Thank you for walking me to this day. They hadn't walked me anywhere. Malik picked it up, examined it for a long moment. What do you want to do with this? I took it from him, ran a thumb over the engraved letters, then set it gently in the donation box by the door. Let someone else use it, I said. Someone who still believes it. Later that evening while making dinner, my phone buzzed. Blocked number, I let it ring, then ring again and stop. No voicemail. Just the kind of silence that feels like the final act of something long overdue. Afterward, Malik and I sat down to eat. The table wasn't fancy, the chairs didn't match, but the room was full of peace. He reached for my hand. What now? He asked. I smiled, not out of joy, but from relief. Now I live, I said, fully, without asking to be seen. Outside, the sky had softened to a warm gray. Quiet, but not empty. A sky that didn't owe anyone light. I didn't share this story to be pitied. I shared it because some of you, maybe too many of you, know what it feels like to be erased by the people who raised you, to carry love that was never returned, and to let go without ever hearing the words you deserved. I'm not here to say I healed. I'm here to say I remembered myself, and that was enough. If this story reminded you of something you've never said out loud, tell us, or just let it sit with you, and if you're still watching, thank you, you saw me. Maybe you saw yourself too.